Welcome to Career Juice, a show that talks to real people about real careers and real conversation around all of the juice that it takes to build successful careers. I'm your host, Tiffany Yard, author of How to Wine with Your Boss, and the owner of Motovino, an educational platform that pairs professional development training with really fun wine programs. Today on the show, we've got Janique Cambridge, a phenomenal, awesome assistant principal here at NYC, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about the industry. Let's get started.
So, tell me, what got you into education so early? I mean, literally right out of college.
I went into college thinking I was going to major in marketing, but everyone kept asking me for help for papers for their English classes and things of that sort. So I was always good at writing. I was always good at helping people. I was more so confused as to why students in college came to college without knowing how to write a paper. They had trouble writing a 5-page paper. And I said, 5 pages? But why do you need help doing this? Because I was prepared for college. And so it wasn't just because I enjoyed reading books and things of that sort. It was because I wanted to help people. And I felt that you shouldn't get to a certain point in your life without knowing how to do something. It was hard to find a job. I went to school in Pennsylvania, so I wasn't certified.
Lincoln University,
the first HBCU.
That's right. Shout out.
I was working at a temp agency, and then I started working at an after-school program. And then a position opened up for an English teacher for 9th grade. And that was in 2006, and I haven't looked back since then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
so how did you transition into professional development for teachers? Because you had these coordinator roles, too.
One thing that I learned, if it's not there for you, then create it for yourself. And some of the PD was not, in education terms, differentiated. And so they wanted to have the same workshops for everyone, and we all weren't on the same level. I created my own opportunities. I asked, like, hey, can I lead a workshop on this? Can I lead a workshop on that? And I was given the chance to do that. And when I was in grad school for my second master's in educational leadership, I actually had to take on a role of leading a group of teachers. And so we were transitioning into the Danielson framework for teacher effectiveness as evaluations, for evaluations. And so I wanted to help the other teachers. I know what it's like not to have actual support and professional development. I know what it's like to go out and find my own opportunities. And I don't think that for an educator that should be, that doesn't have to be the way, which is why I wanted to become a school leader, because I wanted to provide support for people in the way that I didn't have it.
So as you were transitioning out of the roles where you weren't really managing people to now managing people and taking on these leadership roles, who did you emulate? What kind of mentors did you try to find?
So I've had a lot of great people. My mom, her friends are educators, and they've always been like talking to me about what I need to do to make sure that I can sustain in this profession. This profession is not easy. Burnout is real, like in any other profession, but it's very difficult because within education, you can have anyone from any industry tell you what you're doing wrong. You can't do that in a medical field. I can't go to a doctor and say, this is how you should do your open heart surgery. But anyone that's a business, a president of a Fortune 500 can come and tell me what I need to do to educate a child. That I had when I was a child. One person in particular is Miss Bonnie Epps. Actually, Omar Epps, the actor's mother, was my principal in elementary school. And she was so amazing. And just because I felt like she saw us. And that's something that's important as an educator and as a school leader. You have to see the people that you work with, or that you serve, the people that you lead, the students that you teach. If you don't see them, then there's no relationship. They're not going to connect, and they're not going to want to do anything for you.
So when you think about some of the challenges you dealt with and the type of obstacles you faced, what was your first go-to to deal with them?
So as a teacher, some of the obstacles were not being validated by administration, so to say. I know great things were happening in my classroom, but if I wasn't being formally observed, they didn't see it. And it's just like...
That's right.
Certain people were always asked to do certain things, even if I volunteered to do something. Just understanding that I don't get my validation from someone else.
So when you were thinking about transitioning from, say, what was it? There was a teacher effectiveness coordinator to then even a learning communities coordinator. In those two roles, how did you transition from one to the other? What got you there? Who did you talk to?
There were certain things that I had to do because that came later on in my teaching career. But early on in my teaching career was like grade team leader, inquiry team leader. Those were things that I volunteered for. So I would teach Saturday school for a subset of students because I wanted to see if the specific strategies in writing will help, will impact student learning and increase student achievement. And so when you put that out there, that this is what I have to offer, I'm willing to come in on Saturdays to teach 21 kids some strategies around writing to improve their writing because they came in below grade level.
Right.
That's a need, and me being willing to work on a Saturday.
Stretch yourself a little bit, for sure.
Definitely have to stretch. And when you stretch, you'll see what you can actually do. You don't want to be bound by limitations or what your job description says. You can always do more. Because once you do these certain things, people are going to notice you. And then they're going to just give you other opportunities. So that was the beginning, is to actually create your own opportunities if they're not even offered to you.
Now that you're in this role from assistant principal and you have all these teachers under you, how do you develop your staff? How do you keep them motivated?
So one thing is to realize that each person is different. Doing an observation, I always ask questions first. I never tell any person, I need you to do this, without hearing from them first. Right. And I realized with that strategy that most of the time we're always on the same page. When I ask them questions and I have them think and become reflective, that's a skill that you have to be taught. We're not inherently reflective. We have to learn how to sit down and think about our practice and what could be better, what worked, what didn't work. And so I think asking the right questions to get people to think so they don't feel like their voice isn't heard. Sometimes I just have to say, okay, I don't need you to do that anymore. But
what do you think are like the top qualities of the next tier of top talent that's going to be coming down the pike? What would you be looking for in the type of teachers that you'd want to hire?
Someone that accepts feedback, that's passionate about what they do. The content comes secondary, but your desire to see that they can succeed, that's what's going to keep you. That's what's going to fill you up when you're empty. Someone that wants to have fun. Like, kids need to see that you enjoy what you do. If you're miserable and you stand up in front of them, that's not going to give them a reason to work. And so, do you actually enjoy teaching? And if you do, then show it.
What's one piece of advice that you've gotten that stuck with you all these years?
Consistency is key. Being consistent with your expectations, consistent with your values, and not wavering based on pressure because of the system. So don't start an initiative and then halfway through it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. We went on a wine tour back in September.
That's right.
Yes, so Finger Lakes, right?
Yeah.
And that opened my eyes to so many different things beyond Moscato. And so much fun. I can't wait for the next one. But I do have a question about wine. They always talk about the different notes that are in a wine. Might be a hint of pear or apple or something like that. How do you identify that? Because sometimes everything just tastes the same.
That's a great question. It's on the nose. You stick your nose right inside the glass. Give it a good deep inhale. You'll never look weird or crazy. Okay. So another thing that you can do is actually take shot glasses and put actual fruit into the shot glasses so that way you smell what lime smells like. Sometimes you really don't recognize, what the note is because you haven't trained your palate to pick it up. So if you put 4 or 5 shot glasses in this case, a white wine, you put, say, maybe a green apple in there. You put in the next one some lemon. Then you put lime. You actually smell the differences when they're side by side. Then you'd add a little pear. Then you might line those up, stick your nose in those, and stick your nose in your wine and say, oh, I only pick up the apple in this. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. And that's literally how you train yourself. And it takes a little while. There are some really expensive cards you can probably purchase that have these flaps where you can actually like scratch and sniff kind of vibe. Okay. Head out to a green market, pick up some fun fruits. And honestly, so I'm so glad you joined us all for Career Juice. If you want to learn more about Janique, head into the notes. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for more talk on, again, all of the things that make us us who we are and how to take our lives to the next level. Talk soon. Cheers.